Well, that is one of our tiebreakers that we do not have to worry about with Immortals taking that first game. And what a convincing fashion, too. That was, like, honestly, round of applause, Immortals. Like, if that's the Immortals we're going to be seeing going in playoffs, like, this is going to be a banger playoffs.
Yeah. My only worry about IMT is they will probably not have Balulu for playoffs, right? They're still looking to try and find somebody that is not doing double duty. And oh my god, Balulu is so freaking good. He is so good, you guys.
He, like, I don't want to oversell anything by saying that he is the reason they won that game. Like, the Balulu on Zoe is...
a couple big moments.
He was pretty insane.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Wixie, still doing his job.
Still doing
Jinx
good.
was the threat, but oftentimes the Jinx was like the, hey, look at me, I'm Jinx, I got a target on my back, I'm just an 80 carry, come try and kill me. And then Balulu was like, thanks, Wixie. Appreciate you also going double-digit kills while also absorbing all the pressure so that I can just kind of jump around the fight and then carry.
Yeah.
A little bit of disrespect letting Balulu get Zoe and just pop off like that. So, we'll see how that fares in game 2, see how that ages. But while we let the players get set up and ready for our halftime segment, we're just gonna do a couple more playoff predictions, guys. All
right?
Okay.
The prophecies, as you were calling them.
Prophecies, yes. Chance to talk about these players and the run that we'll think that will happen in playoffs. And I changed a couple of the questions up, so this is really up with, especially the 2 first questions, up for interpretation for you, okay?
Interpretation, great.
All right.
Which is always...
But I can't read.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the questions are, Josh.
All right,
Don't worry.
thank you, Steve. Thank you,
All
Steve.
right. So first one is, which player is going to have the biggest hero arc playoffs?
Ooh, and it has to be between these 2 teams?
Between these 2 teams, yeah.
Okay.
Keep it a little relevant, you know?
Ooh. Which player will have the biggest hero arc?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, you can go first.
So, if Balulu is not playing for Immortals Challengers because he's on full-time LCS duty, they get a sub to come in for playoffs.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm reading
Very
Discord
likely,
right, he is confirmed not doing playoffs. So.
Okay, perfect. Then if that's confirmed, I think that the hero will then be Wixie. I think Wixie's going to have to step up and do a lot of work to get this team deep into their playoff runs. Historically, Immortals, previously Academy, had always made deep runs in Proving Grounds despite sometimes middling regular season performances. Players like Chad and Joey, they're just clutch players. You know, they show up when they're needed and they have the performances. I feel like they just got that mentality, right? I mean, Chad got his name started back in summer 2021 when he subbed in and then won Proving Grounds. So I think that those 2 are going to be the anchors for the team, keep them grounded. But Wixie's going to be the one that will have to kind of soar high and have the hero arc to get them across the finish line.
It's super fascinating, too, watching different players, because some players will play, like, regular season and brackets the same way, but there are other players, you tell them that there's a bracket, you put a prize on the line, and suddenly they just clutch up. They look so good. I feel like one of the other... So we have Gomsu, obviously, who does that. Tony Top, who's currently playing in the qualifiers, was another player that was famous for that. And Wixie is also one that did that in spring of 2021? 2022? Was it?
2022, when he was on 100 Thieves?
Yeah, when he was on 100 Thieves, and just... He looked so much better in the actual Proving Grounds than he did even during the regular season. And so I think that Wixie not only continued to have this chip on his shoulder based on being dropped after that great performance, but going into this playoffs once again, can really pop off.
Wait, are we in agreement then? We both
I think we're in
say
agreement.
Wixie?
I think it's Wixie is the most likely to outperform their regular season performance.
Okay.
So let's go. Let's see if that agreement can keep going on. Biggest villain arc going into playoffs. However you want to interpret this one. This could be someone who you're not expecting much from. It could be someone who's, you know,
it's gonna be
someone
Chad.
else. Ooh.
Chad is kind of naturally sets himself up as a villain just because of how much trash talk he does on Twitter, right? Like, you know, love him or hate him, he's the kind of guy who will stir the pot a little bit as he's trying to get players to, like, trash talk back at him. And it does. Yeah. It makes him, you know, very popular among certain people and very unpopular amongst people who are just like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Also, his name is Maximilian. Chad's first name is Maximilian. That is a villain name right there. So, yeah, I think he's got to be the villain of the playoffs.
I'm pretty sure I saw him in a James Bond film.
Yeah, right? You know, got the monocle and everything.
I
I feel like that would actually be a good look for Chad. You know, a side tangent. We got to get content where Chad's wearing like a
And a
monocle
bowler
now.
hat. Bowler hat.
new,
Yes.
new segment idea incoming. All right. Next, prophecy. Most surprising performance from one of
How
our
is that
players.
different than the two questions we just answered?
Was that different? Most surprising? Who's been
Maybe like-
slacking? That's gonna be like 180ing. Who's
Yeah. Lowest expectation going into playoffs, but it's going to perform the best in playoffs.
the underdog?
Yeah, I think I have one. I think it's going to be Philip. I think that Philip has been silently underrated throughout the regular season, and he has been stepping it up. I feel like Philip is a player that performs best on a team that has a clear direction as to how they want to play the game. And Winsome coming in to be that voice for FlyQuest Challengers, I think will enable Philip to be that role player for the team. And we're going to see a much better version of Philip in playoffs, kind of like we've seen in these last couple of weeks than we had in the regular season. I'm saying, like, I don't think his performance is going to improve necessarily from where it is right now. But when you take the whole split cumulatively, it will be higher in playoffs than it was throughout the year.
I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to say it's whoever Balulu's replacement is.
Well, that doesn't... How is that fair? They haven't played it all.
But they're going to be
I mean,
surprising
it would be a
no matter what the
surprise,
result is.
technically, if you wanna go that way.
I would cheat,
wrong.
Steve. Just like I did yesterday. I'm going to cheat.
How are they surprising if there's, like, no expectation, though?
Well, based on who they are, I haven't seen a name pop up just quite yet. I think no matter what, it's going to drastically affect the way the IMTC plays. And considering how many people have already been picked up, I expect they're more likely to have like a Lunasia situation where we don't know a whole lot about them before it comes in and they pop off. Or somebody that we do know who's going to kind of struggle to actually find themselves in a spot on a team that's already established a lot of their playstyle.
Hey, Robbie Bob, what are you up to? I know you subbed in for Evil Geniuses earlier this split. Can you buy some time now?
I mean, you might want to go check Immortals' Twitter. Maybe you'll start getting.
Oh, they already say it?
answers. Angus, you might not want to check Twitter because I am seeing that there's tweets going around trying to get people to use the hashtag Angus is bald on Twitter to join the NA
Is that
conversation.
Deserex?
Stop!
No, it wasn't surprising. So
Oh no, he planted the seed now though, and now it's growing. Ugh.
Oh, it's Yusui!
Production! Cynthia, what are you doing?
Yeah, okay, it is Yusui. There you go.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay, wait a minute. So Yasui's a player that we have seen around in the past. He has impressed me a lot. He's gotten a lot of stage time in Academy, even some in LCS. I remember back in like 2019, he got some stage games. Okay. Well, that might change things. I always ranked Yusui pretty highly. I was surprised when he left the scene and like wasn't competing at the Academy level anymore. So that's kind of cool. I'm happy to see him back.
Okay.
it'll be a fun arc to watch unfold as we get into playoffs. Now, I felt like this might have been one that could have been a little easier to answer, but then after this performance, after the replacement, we'll have to see. Between these two teams, who's going to make the furthest playoffs run?
Dibs on FlyQuest.
I was
Okay,
going to
you're
easily
taking Fly-
say
well, I'll take Immortals
FlyQuest.
then.
I'm still sticking with FlyQuest, but Immortals, they kind of, after that game, I mean, if they come out in game 2 looking the same, like, I might...
Yeah,
have
I mean,
some
we
thoughts.
do have to see a little bit, right? But we do have to look at the fact that FlyQuest has had a really strong end of the season so far. They 2-0'd Golden Guardians, who we were just hyping up as this team that we weren't hyping up enough. They also beat Team Liquid Challengers, 100 Thieves Challengers, tied with Wildcard, and the last time they lost was before Winsome actually had joined the team, right? These guys have taken every other team by storm, and this is the first time that they've dropped a game.
I'm checking right now. Spring, Immortals were in, I think, 5th place at the end of the season. They got top 4 in Proving Grounds. Summer, they were like 7th at the end of the regular season, and they got top 6 in Proving Grounds. So, I mean, Joey's got this reputation, Josh. You're betting against Joey in a tournament bracket. That's a bold move right there.
I mean, I'm already very likely to lose one bet, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, you want to bet some facial hair on this one?
I won't have any facial hair left to bet.
True.
Hey,
You'll have a couple weeks to grow it.
I definitely believe in the domination that FlyQuest has shown in the later part of this split, but I definitely have to be giving kudos where kudos is due to Immortals. So far, at least with that first game. The thing is, though, anyone can take a game off of anybody, but it's now time to see if they can do it twice.
Josh is really rooting for them.
Right, well, let's see if there's a little bit more respect in this draft, in this game, and I'll catch you guys in a little bit.
Thank you, Sierra. Enjoy your time with your tea. She never said what type of tea she was drinking earlier. Yeah. Did you catch that?
It's probably Emp.
No, that was yours. Also, I now see that I have a backpack in frame over here. I'm sloppy over. Wait, what?
Blueberry
was in my ear. What was it?
Okay, there's the Zoe band.
White blueberry. They don't make white blueberry, Sierra. I don't know. She's drinking something else. FlyQuest Challengers ban away the Zoe. It happened, Josh. They learned the lesson.
Woo! All right, so that already off the table. Now I think that there's actually will push IMT to not ban Azir, because you know what one of the best matchups into Azir is, Steve? It's Balulu's other champion.
Balulu's other champion, not Zoe.
The cause.
I definitely did my pick ban research ahead of this match.
Vel'Koz has been the other champion that Balulu has been incredibly good at over the years, and it is one of the best matchups into Azir, which is also one of Spyrek's most played champions so far. But we do already see a pretty big pivot in this draft as well, seeing as Masu is going to be grabbing the Xayah for themselves. We have seen a lot of early pressure coming out with that. I was not super excited by the Aphelios Thresh. I know that some teams have been having a lot of success with that, but this is a team in a bottom lane that really thrives on its ability to kind of bully the other side of the matchup, and it's really hard to do that with Aphelios Thresh, where Xayah or Khan will do that to almost everybody.
And now it comes down to, does Joey want to pick the Rakan away from Winsome? Right now with the Aphelios, I would be surprised if they did. I think it would just be the Aphelios Thresh locked in right here.
Yeah, almost definitely. You don't even have to pick the Thresh here. You can try and find another power pick if there is something that Chad wants to grab, but he's more of a counter-picking style of jungler. They might try and go for a Jarvan, might try and go for a Vi, but realistically we're probably going to see a Thresh, then a Rakan, and then after that,
J4.
It is going to be a J4 for Chad. That doesn't really change a lot of their game plan, right? Joey's still almost definitely going to get a Thresh afterwards.
And Chad had a pretty good game on the J4 earlier. He had a lot of... I liked how he positioned in the fights. There was that one where he almost got picked off at the end, but he was able
how fast that was?
Cataclysm onto Yuji. Yeah, that was a very fast lock-in. They're going back to the Viego and the Rakan. Yuji and Winsome's champs locked in.
Yeah, come on, Balulu. You got to get those champ select mechanics up to par with the rest of the gameplay, man. That was such a slow lock-in coming in for Thresh. We got to start
tiebreakers today. Come on, let's speed this up.
But we do have the exact kind of similar thing that we were looking at, as kind of we were expecting after seeing the Aphelios come through. Same early picks are out, and Yuji going right on back to Viego, where he was finding a lot of success last year. But with the kind of shift towards a bit more farming in the jungle and a little bit less ganking on the new patch, it is going to be a situation where Yuji might not be able to find the same kind of early paths as they were actually going for in the last game. They only went for 1 or 2 ganks and got shut down both times.
Right now it's mid laners banned out for each team. Veigar banned out, and then the Azir banned out. So we won't probably get the Vel'Koz, I would assume.
Unlikely.
Since FlyQuest did not opt for it in their first rotation of picks.
Yeah, I mean, they might still go for it as their last pick here on red side as the Ahri ban comes through as well. Kind of just trying to stifle what it is that Spyrex can do, take away some of his big playmakers. And as we start looking at it, we still need to find top laners. I'm expecting that we're probably going to see a blind coming out for ADD here very shortly, and just take something like the Cassante, take something like a Sion that does have the opportunity to play for later on in the game. With one of them already banned away, ADD is by far, as most played so far, has been the actual Cassante.
I'm surprised that they FlyQuest banned the Sion when Shogath is still up as a counter into it, because I do imagine Philip would be able to pilot that side. But with that tank taken off the table, it might no longer be a tank v tank matchup. It's Olaf locked in for ADD. Okay, Josh, this is a champion that needs some resources, needs to be able to get off the ground, because if you fall behind on Olaf top, you do not feel nearly as impactful, especially if it's something against something like a Fiora.
And as the Fiora does come through, right, it's not necessarily a lane counter pick, but it does become really, really difficult for Olaf to deal with later on if you do not accelerate. Spyrex leaning a little bit over towards the Akali as well, so a lot of powerful women going to be doing damage here for FlyQuest Challengers, and a lot of mobility, which really makes the Jarvan Cataclysm less exciting. The only character who can't get out of the Cataclysm is the Xayah. Everybody else has a dash that they can use to leave, and if Xayah does use the ultimate at the right time, can still dodge out on it anyway. So lots of cool things coming out for FlyQuest Challengers as we do see Balulu shifting. All right, it's a strong combo, but this puts a lot of pressure onto Wixie and ADD, and one of those has proven that they can be a carry.
Okay, let's phrase it this way though, or frame it this way rather. If you're not going to have Balulu for playoffs, you've locked the opportunity of a tiebreaker scenario. I like this for Wixie. Get experience on stage games where you will need to be the carry. Get ADD experience where he needs to step up on something that isn't a tank. I actually don't hate this because the seeding will be locked for Immortals going forward here. I do kind of like it when you frame it in that perspective because now they get some more experience heading into the bracket.
Yeah, but for a one-threat composition, this is a really weird one-threat composition, right? It is a situation where you don't have the strongest of front lines coming through. You do have the terrain that Chad is going to be creating. You do have a strong engage coming up from Balulu, but you need to be really careful that your front line doesn't get too far ahead of where Wixie is trying to go. True. And they're peeling, again, as we already touched on, the Cataclysm is not great peel against a lot of these divers that FlyQuest have built up for themselves. And the side lane, if ADD doesn't get ahead, creates another problem for this front-to-back style team fight.
Game number 2 loaded onto the Rift, and if we have a checklist of steps for Immortals Challengers to be hitting in this game, step number 1, get ADD in a comfortable position. Do not let Olaf fall behind. Step 2, don't go too far forward and let Wixie get caught off in the back. You need to be peeling for your AD carry once your Olaf is online. These are 2 players that will now have to step up after Balulu had a monster performance in Game 1. Immortals showing that they are willing to put the pressure on the other players on the roster.
And we'll see how FlyQuest choose to react to the fact that IMT's composition does very little magic damage, almost entirely on Balulu. You tend to see Night Harvesters in these kind of situations where so you can at least have that burst of magic damage that people will need to react to. But FlyQuest, they are going to be trying to react a little bit as he walks in, takes a good chunk.
I like that from Balulu. Gets a little bit of a early trade lead. Also, I will say it's important to note, I don't see anybody on FlyQuest that will be stacking armor, so I don't think that you're going to get hard punished for having a heavily ADE favored comp. Obviously, there will still be rune choices and maybe some boot choices that will make your lives a little less convenient, but I don't think it's like game-breaking.
It makes Death's Dance really boggers.
Okay,
right?
You know what, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of physical damage coming out, and just the ability to try and find these kills, you just need that little bit of extra time. And so FlyQuest, they can create a little bit of pressure this way, but look at Chad's path. He goes from the top side of the map, and he's looping around into the mid lane gank on the Spyrex.
Look at this. Spyrex is still level 1, Balulu's keeping him off of the wave. Oh, just misses the... You got him.
Right.
Okay.
Now, do you remember who we were praising for inventive paths like that before? It was Rosethorn and Yuji. In 2022, who were really praising for these inventive gank paths, and Chad is still here!
He's still here. Flash forward from Balulu, and he lands the taunt. They see him! First blood to Chad, and the crab emote pops up.
Wow, Chad finally rewarded for all that time he spent trying to find Spyrex. They do not get his flash, though, so it's a little bit harder for them to try and make that gank happen again. But the committal coming out from IMT, they know that that gank needs to work if they want to justify everything that Chad had done. And Yuji, he's waiting. He's starting to move around, looking to see if there's anything from Chad to go for the blue buff, because he knows that it's an easy 1v1 for him. But it's taking so long. Yuji is using up a lot of time. Also, that's a total lie, Victor. You know he's bald.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I didn't want to bring attention to that because there's action happening. Engage from Joey, lands a death sentence on the Masu. Heal is out. Flash is still available. Joey got hit with the Ignite as Balulu's even hovering around here, so Immortals have more members, but nobody goes down.
That is going to be a summoner trade as Winsome does end up expending the Ignite for not nearly as much as there's another hook.
Actually flays him out of the battle dance. And Winsome still gets out of there. Yuji hovering around. Would have been spotted on the walk-in. Chad also sees the mist. I don't see who got that, actually. Looks like the smites are at the same timer. Who got it?
It should have been Chad.
Okay.
UG smited a little bit early, and yeah, Chad does find the third one. And UG spent a lot of time down here on the bottom side of the map trying to make these invades and dives and gangs work out. Not going to be finding anything for it. And again, with the increased gold going over towards clearing out jungle camp, Chad does find a little bit more because of it. UG has spent a lot of time and will now need to move over towards the top side in order to secure any kind of potential lead that he might be looking for.
Yeah, we see the 400 gold lead for Chad. It's something mostly from that first blood. ADD, meanwhile, has been doing an all-right job in this 1v1. Isn't super far ahead, but is trying to get this wave shoved in. With all the time that UG spent bot lane, this has given ADD a lot of room to play with, as he is trading onto Philip, gets the wave under turret, but still relatively even in that top lane matchup.
Yeah, and Chad, he is committed to these ganks, but he does get spotted on the tri-brush ward.
Might not matter. Joey flashes forward, gets the flay back, and my screen is frozen at the
Double
worst
knockup.
time.
They're starting to go in. Chad is still on it. The root is there. Masu goes down. It doesn't matter that Chad got spotted on the ward because the flash coming in from Joey finds them the kill anyway.
I'm so happy you jumped in there, Josh. I am sorry my screen is still frozen. I'm going to refresh. Continue, please.
Well, I don't know if I can. My screen is also starting to freeze as well, as it's harder to actually track what is going on. I think you're going to have to take back over.
Back to live. Okay, we're going to piggyback off of each other. Leapfrog, who's casting, as Balulu and Chad were looking to maybe get onto Spyrex mid lane, but he holds off, does not go down. So 2 kills to Immortals so far on the scoreboard. They are up a couple of 100 gold. And a lot of that off of Chad, not giving attention where I expected. I definitely thought the jungler would be going topside, looking to get ADD into a comfortable spot, but because there's just been a magnet bot lane, UG's even been pulled down there, so it has just been an isolated 1v1 top, and Immortals are feeling good about it.
Immortal is definitely finding a couple of kills early. It does kind of prevent a lot of the issues that this composition might have been looking at with how much Chad has been looking for these ganks with mixed success, right? He's been spending a lot of time not really farming, but having found actual kills in both of these lanes does mean that Chad makes up for the fact that UG has been going for all of his camps. And it looks like we might be back. At least I'm back. We have resolved most of the issues coming through. But look at this from Chad.
Joey's in there. They have Chad right behind him. Death Sentence lands, and he takes it in. Balulu level 6, but you talk about the mobility of FlyQuest champions. They can easily get away from that engage, but Spyrex just gets taunted up, knocked up. Chain CC, looking for the damage onto Joey. Level 3 Thresh is enticing, gets a 1 flay back, but Spyrex is out of there with a perfect execution. Chad looking for the flash on him. Spyrex is over the wall, and now Balulu has been 1v2ing. Finally goes down. It's Yuji that picks up the kill.
And a bit of a disaster coming through for IMT. They go over the wall. They're the ones that try and find the fight, but they don't have anything left in the tank when they actually get there. So many abilities end up being completely whiffed because of the mobility coming out from FlyQuest Challengers. And so far, we'll take another look at this. Watch how many abilities are actually completely dodged out by FlyQuest, right? That is dodged. The ultimate from Galio is dodged as well. And as Chad moves back up to the top side of the fight, another flag and drag coming out from Chad will be dodged out by the way that FlyQuest plays this. As he tries to leave there looking for a Spyrex, but not going to be able to do anything because the flash comes out instantly. That is 4 major abilities that have already been dodged out by the way that FlyQuest move.
And also, Immortals trying to play away from their primary damage dealer. I know J4 can do some damage early, Galio can do some damage early, but they're doing that as Thresh, J4, Galio against a Viego and an Akali. Like, the damage differential in these champions is pretty felt. I think Wixie would have been happy to be involved in that, as Spyrex now the one engaged on in the mid lane into the Shroud. He should be fine here. We'll have perfect execution. Now the re-engage from Winsome. Joey misses the death sentence, but Yuji's joined in. Lantern to safety. Chad is out of there.
Yeah, I mean, nice dodge from Balulu using the Justice Punch it backwards in order to get out of the grand entrance, but still, there was a really big lead coming out from IMT early on, and the fact that they have given over the gold lead yet again creates some issues here for IMT's composition. And the one player that really needs to be accelerated for this composition to work, Wixie, is, yes, they got an early kill onto Masu, but they've been really pushed back. The strength of Zaire Khan has made up a lot of the difference between FlyQuest and Immortals. We start seeing another opportunity as the action is switched from the bottom lane to the mid lane.
Immortals are looking to potentially go for this Herald, but Chad's actually backing, so We won't see any action there as the supports were hovering. Wixie's been isolated against Masu for a little bit now and is falling behind in CS. And with Dragon on the table, FlyQuest are actually looking at this objective next. So Wixie and Joey, they have to be very careful here. They are currently alone, just with a Galio ult on cooldown coming off in about 20 seconds. So if they can hold out to then, now they have some backup.
Yeah. We haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to this top lane either because of how much has been going on in the other side of the map. But just as we called out last time, both these guys still 0-0-0. And ADD not yet able to build up enough of a lead to say that he's really winning as Philip tries to play back because he hasn't seen Chad. He hasn't seen a whole lot going on from the movement of IMT. Just trying to get as much CS as possible. Should be okay as ADD allows him to back away, and Chad only going for the Rift Herald.
Friendly PSA coming in from all of your friends on the Rift to go check out top lane every once in a while. Thank you to our observers for reminding us they exist. What's going on this Twitter thing?
Use the hashtag #GoAwayGoT if you want C9C to win. Hey,
that's a long hashtag.
That is a long hashtag. But if CLG Faith win a game, Dignitas 2-0, then Dignitas can get first, and we will get to see Eric shave.
I would be happier about that personally, just because Eric completely looking like a thumb would sound amazing.
Is that why you have your facial hair?
Yeah, I can say it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Immortals give up the dragon early on as FlyQuest Challengers pick that up for themselves and get out of there. We do see an invade from Chad, top side, and now a sizable gold lead for ADD, who stuck around, got another wave under turret, so Philip is finally falling behind a little bit here. We'll see if ADD is able to do much with that.
Yeah, this game is much more even and is quieted down quite a bit from what we were expecting based on the first game and what we were seeing even earlier on in this game. But I still kind of want to set up the fact that IMT, this is still a much better look from them, even though this one is, you know, a little bit more chaotic than game one, than from what we've been seeing from them for most of the split thus far. It has been, even with Balulu on the team, they've really been struggling to kind of find plays. They'll go in at different times, and even though the last fight was maybe not the best advised fight to go for, the fact that they're all going for it is still the kind of thing that is a big point of growth coming out from IMT.
And that, again, speaks back to what Joey was saying in his interview that we had with him, that yeah, they need time to get to know each other, to get to learn each other's play styles and tendencies and how they want to approach setups like that. So we're starting to see effects of that from Immortals camp heading into the playoffs. It will be rough losing their mid laner for that playoffs run. Hopefully they can get the substitute up to speed quickly as Winsome actually gets a nice ward down onto Wixie. They'll spot if Chad comes for a lane gank now as they also invade onto the blue buff. Chad's going to be wrapping around here with Joey. How long do FlyQuest stick around? Okay, blue buff actually resets. And Chad doesn't see it. Okay, so Yuji gets the blue buff.
Yeah. I mean, they should know that Yuji is around because of the Hallowed Mist or whatever it's called, the shrouded thing that Yuji does. But they should know he's around. They definitely know he's around now that he is hitting a ward. But no real ganks coming out from Yuji early on, right? That was something that was giving them a lot of success previously with their early game compositions that they've tried to pilot. But this is definitely a very different thing that we've been seeing. And I think Cubby was calling it out best. FlyQuest showed that they could play both early games and late games very effectively when they actually brought Winsome on first.
And I just love the fact that Yuji can now pilot things like this in the current meta as opposed to just being perma-locked on things like Sejuani, Maokai. Much better for Yuji, and actually a lot of our junglers' playstyles. I want to ask you a question here about game state. Josh, from your perspective, if you're Chad, you got the Herald, where are you looking? Are you looking at ADD saying, let's get the Olaf ahead and maybe have the threat of now no longer a turret you can shove into? Or do you look bot lane and say, let's get Wixie the gold?
I mean, I think you really have to look top lane. You need to create a second threat. Wixie being strong is good, but you really need somebody to pull attention off of Wixie. And Olaf is a great character to do that. And Chad, a little bit surprised we didn't see an instant flag and drag off of that one as he shows up in the top lane. He's going to be dropping the Herald here to try and... Oh!
Wait a minute. Okay, Philip was baiting the whole time. Never mind. It's fine. It's casual. It works. As ADD will trade one back. Yuji feeling the wrath of a low-health Olaf, but 1-for-2 trade up for FlyQuest.
Oh, and Masu looking at Wixie.
Okay, but Joey's here. I mean, Masu's got to be careful. Has the heal, has the flash, and also has the Feather Storm, so feeling confident to go forward onto Wixie. Feather recall. Oh! He gets the root! outplay!
This is why we're talking about this guy for most valuable prospect, my guys. Just looking for that 1v2, finds it. And up in the top lane, great read coming up from FlyQuest as well. FlyQuest firmly in advantage at this point. What's this teleport from ADD?
With the teleport?
He teleported to his second turret.
He wants
What
the
was that?
Krugs. Now you're closer to him. Let's not talk about ADD. Let's talk about, okay, we'll get to Masu later. We're going to talk about this.
We got to talk about
first.
AD now. Yeah, this, I love the patience originally coming out from Chad, not using the ultimate instantly to try and wait out the repose. But he didn't expect that both Winston and Yuji were going to be waiting in the wings, and that is massive, turning around, getting both kills. But my God, we got to talk about Masu. Down here, I was a little bit worried, right? It is worth noting that Wixie ends up spending a lot of damage on some of these minions when he initially presses Q with the red gun. But here, this is the kind of thing that we love seeing, dodging out on so much damage, moving where Wixie's mouse isn't, and actually finds that kill there all on its own because Wixie was so surprised at the massive flash coming through.
We've been hyped about Masu considering what he could do on 120 ping on Wi-Fi. Now we're seeing what Masu can do when he's in LA playing for FlyQuest Challengers with the rest of the team. Incredible stuff there as we get back into the live state of the game. Gold lead to FlyQuest Challengers. They have the first dragon. It looks like they're already on to the second. So stacking those early, and Immortals, the game's starting to fall apart from them.
For sure. I mean, one of the big things we were looking at is the two people who needed to be threats on IMT to actually find success in this game were Wixie and ADD. ADD still has a small gold lead as Chad goes in, but Wixie doesn't even have a gold lead at this point. It is Masu who is stronger. This composition for IMT does not work unless you can burst one of these players. And it's almost impossible for this composition to lock down anybody in order to find those big fights.
Wixie being behind does not help, but the worst part is that ADD is now struggling in the 1v1 against Philip. Doesn't have the first item completed. Should get it here as now the engage comes in. Spyrex and Chad playing around with each other. Spyrex gets out of there and flashes over the Cataclysm. Nicely done, Spyrex.
Yeah, that's a flash trade coming out from IMT as Blue goes in.
Look at the Masu flank. They're diving under turret. This is very aggressive, but they have the damage for Winsome. Lulu been tanking up the whole time. Masu does have the Featherstorm, but not much else to work with here. Sidesteps the death sentence and is just fine. Stun from Yuji onto Chad, and Chad's just going to die. Spyrex picks it up.
Wow. I mean, ends up being a 1-for-1 when all is said and done, but the scaling definitely feels like it is on FlyQuest's side as Balulu trying to find a taunt.
Ooh, that was close, but Masu just fearless walks right back up.
Had the ultimate the entire time, was never really worried. FlyQuest, I mean, they're looking so good, and there's a reason why people have been hyped about Masu in his rookie split. Only played on an amateur team or a semi-pro team as recently as last year before they were able to really do anything. This is their first year of competitive.
Oh, Philip just kills him easy here. Yeah, that's the concern as the Olaf. If you are not ahead of the Fiora, that will happen. And now it's two threats. It's Masu, like you were talking about, having this incredible rookie split. Philip also showing up big here in this top lane matchup. So game 2 is looking, I'm honestly, like we're approaching that point where we are starting to call it and be like, FlyQuest Challengers have the comp to pull this off, and they have the lead that they need.
The only other game that I can kind of look back on that I think of like IMT might still be in this game is the one that they played up against Cloud9 Challengers earlier in the split, where they gave Lost a triple kill at like level 3 or something. It was absolutely ridiculous. He was playing the Ezreal, but IMT had this stupid, like super long-range poke composition where they had a ton of opportunities to pick people off. They don't really have that in this game. They don't have the same kind of win conditions. It really is, they kind of have to monkey it, right? From this point on, if IMT are not fighting and winning those fights, they're losing. And that's really going to be how they have to try and play this one out. They don't have a side lane win condition. They don't have a front-to-back win condition. They don't really have a easy pick win condition. They really just have to run into people and fight them and hope that they can outplay.
And ADD's just going to die here. The Spyrax, the Olaf is not working out for Immortals. I still like the idea of trying something different here as they're approaching the playoff scenario, but ADD will actually buy a little bit of time here. He has Ghost and is quite fast. So let's see if the team's able to get much done while he is running. Winston pops a quickness. Wait a minute. Is ADD going to get out of this?
Oh my gosh. Does he? Winsome? Flash Grand Entrance? All right.
Yeah,
victories.
let's go, ADD. Woo!
Small victories coming through.
Oh, that bought the rest of the team time. Now they got onto Winsome, has to flash away. Masu's still here. They go back for the re-engage. Now onto Wixie, who just gets popped. Masu sees enemy AD carry, deletes enemy AD carry.
Yeah, I'm going to call this one at this point. FlyQuest should be able to win this one from this position, but I still want to go back and praise IMT for their game one. That was unlike anything we had seen from IMT this entire season. They looked so good in that one, and even though this is a little bit of a return to what we were seeing throughout most of the rest of the split, we cannot discount the fact that they can do what they did earlier this series.
The fact that they have shown that in very impressive wins this weekend. Like, their final weekend in total has given a whole new look to Immortals, and the threat that they pose to teams that they're up against in the bracket. Losing this game, if they do end up taking the L here, means that they'll be most likely going up against somewhere. I mean, it honestly could be FlyQuest Challengers again in the first round, or like the Team Liquids, the Golden Guardians, someone around that part of the standings. So those teams have to be given respect to this version of Immortals.
Yeah. It's also been interesting to note how wild IMT's games can really be in terms of like whether or not they can win. Because not only did they take a game off of Dignitas, they also lost one to FlyFam within like, you know, that was one Sunday into a Saturday the next week, right? Like the way that IMT plays does show that they can beat anybody, or they can also lose to anybody. And so we're kind of seeing both sides of that coin right now coming out for IMT. And I'm kind of curious how this will change.
Gosh, they're going for a play.
Oh, they're going for a play.
This is probably a Hail Mary from Immortals. I don't see them getting a better shot than this. The Dragon's already taken. Can they clean up any kills afterwards?
Can they get Masu?
Blue's got a long flank. Masu's running right into him. Did not expect that Galio there. So Immortals do find something. Big engage from Chad. Cataclysm onto 3, but they all get out of the pit. They can't pull off the J4 Galio combo because there's just way too much mobility on the enemy team.
Even though he's playing on CLG Faith, there's still so much coming through for FlyQuest right now, and it's very tough. Even though they do get the kill onto Masu with a great flank coming out from Balulu, they still give up the Dragon, they still give up even more. Now FlyQuest hovering around, trying to find an opportunity to contest this Baron buff that IMT are going for.
Mobility's also on Evil Geniuses, Josh, but ADD right now gets engaged on by being isolated, but some time is still alive. The rest of Immortals walking up now. Spyrax could be in a world of hurt here. Perfect executions to safety. Baron stopped. Philip is just going to end the game if Immortals do not answer this Fiora in the side lane, so FlyQuest actually played that very well.
Very good job actually stopping that Baron attempt. Spyrax? It's okay. And Philip over in the side lane, he got one turret, most of a second turret. I mean, if this is a lot of tempo coming through from FlyQuest. They are all still on the map. IMT need to back away and spend their gold. And FlyQuest, they're going to be the ones starting up the Baron again. They start doing it IMT. They're going to have to come around looking for their opportunity to get in, try and do to FlyQuest what they were doing to them before. But they're missing some crucial ultimates. Balulu does not have the grand entrance at all. And now as they start to move out, at least they stop FlyQuest from picking up. And here comes a teleport come through from Philip. ADD might be caught. Does he have the way to get out of this one again? Is he going to do it? No, it is going to be a pick coming through from FlyQuest. They're going to move right back over towards the Baron. It's going to be so tough for Immortals to actually go for one of these contests, but they do still have an opportunity. Balulu does have the ultimate coming up very, very shortly. And we see that there's still a couple of flashes missing, but with all the mobility that is still available for FlyQuest, can they even get in? They're looking for Winsome, not going to find him just quite yet. And look at the zone come through. Spyrax moving around the backside, trying to make sure Chad cannot get into the pit, but it is so separated. IMT, they jump in all at the same time. The front line goes in, but they're already dead. The Baron buff not going to get stolen from Joey. No dice coming through for Immortals, and can Joey even get out at this point? I think he made the sin of being on the same screen as Philip does end up picking up another one. And Philip still looking for Wixie, trying to go underneath the turret. Will they be able to do it? The riposte is there. Yuji is there. The dive is there for FlyQuest. ADD, the last challenger standing, but that's going to be a Baron. A bunch of kills going through. FlyQuest pick up the mid lane turret. They're pushing up in the top lane. They're going to be able to crack multiple turrets off of this push all by itself. And Philip not even afraid of ADD underneath the double Nexus turret. FlyQuest looking to rock this game down relatively soon. If you're wondering why I'm still here, we did in fact lose Kangas. His internet did go down. That might have been an issue for Challengers League as well. But FlyQuest, they're doing so much work, nearly 10,000 gold ahead at this point. We said that it was probably time of death not that long ago as another turret goes down, Sparx picks up and another effective 2 kills. FlyQuest take every single camp except for the Frog away here from IMT. And ADD, I don't even know if you win this one. As he starts to go for it, Masu does have a lot of damage. The Gale Force isn't enough. One more auto attack comes through, and Masu with yet another duel. This time up against the top laner. Can Joey leave? They know exactly where he is. Not going to be in range for this one, though, as it is non-stop action. Philip, he's going for it. Chad tries to find it. The stun, he stuns up Joey. Great repose. But now Philip underneath the turret does end up going down by the duel on the other side. Yuji kills off Wixie. And this is just complete chaos. Blue teleporting inside his own base. And here they go. Masu, no summoners. Can they take him down? The heal's there. It's not enough. They actually get him. They get Winsome as well. This is total pandemonium coming through. Spyrex joins into the fray. Is he going to find anything? They do find another one onto Chad, but he dies to a turret shot on the back end. Oh my god. Oh my god. Absolutely wild. FlyQuest pick up another inhibitor turret off the back of that one. The gold lead's only 7,000. But with the Chemtech Soul spawning here relatively soon, coming out for FlyQuest Challengers, will they actually be able to even contest it? They still have multiple members dead. IMT, they already have Olaf running over as a bit of a monster slayer to try and take this one down. And it sounds like we might have a bit of a savior coming through for my voice as well.
Oh, I'm back.
Welcome back.
What did I miss? You missed a lot. I won't make you recount it. We'll just catch up together.
It was wild. It was wild.
The game's not over. So sorry about that, everybody. My internet cut out for a second, but we are back as Dragon has been started by Immortals. Okay, this is sold for FlyQuest. How are they approaching this one? They don't have everybody here.
Yeah. Philip, he's going towards the mid lane. He's not interested in trying to contest this. It's a potential steal from Yuji.
Oh, is he just going to go for the game end? Yeah, Yuji can't get into the pit. It is secured by Immortals. Nice engage from Winsome onto everybody. They're just buying time. They're going for the game end, but they're going to get both! Masu with a massive feather recall will get a triple kill to close out the game while Philip hits the Nexus. FlyQuest surge back in game 2.
Oh my gosh. What a wild end. I know you missed it, Steve, but the last couple of minutes have been insane. Masu,
I'm so sad.
You would have loved it. There's fights here, there's duels going on somewhere else at the same time. But Masu, once again, playing hero in a lot of these duels. He just wins way more 1v1 fights. He is such a big teamfight threat. He's so good at maximizing his damage. And I'm excited. I can't wait for the conversation later this week as we start looking at the most valuable prospect, because he is definitely going to be a contender.
He was already in the conversation. Obviously, we have not made the list yet. It will be a conversation we have at the end of today's games and going into our meeting tomorrow. And performances like today and just this weekend overall for Masu definitely going to help him out in that conversation. So we'll keep everybody updated in the community as to what the decisions are going forward. You can wait till playoffs to hear all about that. But we're going to send it to a short break while Sierra gets ready for an interview with the victorious FlyQuest Challengers in that game number 2. We'll be back.
Hello everyone and welcome to our Verizon post-game interview. Thank you so much, Yuji, for sitting down and talking with me. First off, congratulations on ending the week on a positive note. How do you feel ending things off 3-1?
It feels good, especially since we had like a rough week before Winsome and Fat came in, so it feels good.
Do want to quickly ask about that one loss though that we got to see to start off our day. What happens in that game on your end?
Well, I think we all like played bad. I think we weren't like ready for the match, especially since the match was like kinda early, like 1 PM. So I think we weren't ready enough.
You did a little extra time to warm up.
Yeah.
That's fair. But at least ended things off, it bounced back, which was really, really nice. So how are you feeling now as a team heading into playoffs together?
It definitely feels nice to have everyone back, and I feel like everyone's trying their hardest to win and improve, so I think it'll be good for playoffs.
Great, and that's definitely awesome that everyone's all together now. You've had the squad together for a couple of weeks. How has the team environment been, and how has that changed up considering how things were at the beginning of the split?
I'd say it's nice. It's like very fun to play with these guys, especially Winsome and Pop. It's like they're always positive and screaming, so they're very fun to be around.
And then the bot lane duo that we've been waiting for too, and Masu and Winsome. How has that just changed the team, being able to have Masu there and Winsome abroad?
I would say draft-wise, we couldn't like play some champs because of the ping, so I think it makes the draft way easier. And now he's on low ping, so he's just like smurfing every game, so it's nice.
It's definitely nice to see going from 100 ping to the 0 ping and seeing how that's played out. And then real quick before I let you go, I mean, we were talking about it before, the flowers that everyone has at their desk. What's decoration? Someone's gifting y'all some flowers? What's up with that?
I think it's fake flowers, but it looks nice. And you know, it's FlyQuest, so we love trees. And yeah.
Gonna gift your teammates some more flowers after some FlyQuest wins in playoffs?
What did you say? I couldn't hear.
Gonna get your teammates some flowers after some FlyQuest wins in playoffs here?
Yeah, maybe, like real flowers, so.
A little gift for them. Yuji, thank you so much for chatting with me. Any final words before I let you go hang out with the team?
Shout out to the team and the coaching staff. And shout out to the Bethany people.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, okay?
Yep.
Yeah. As for us, our first series ending off with a tie, so one of our tiebreakers not going to happen. Still a few more games with stakes on the line. It'll all be after this break, though, so don't go too far.